morning and welcome to today's CSA Supplier Member webinar. I'm Christina Collier and I'll be your host today. This morning it's the turn of Arum with their webinar entitled Gain Unique Insights into the Collections and Recoveries System Market. I'll now hand you across to our presenters, Chris Warburton and Matt Riddall. Over to you, Chris and Matt.
Hi everyone. My name is Chris Warburton, Principal Consultant at Arum, I've been joined today by Matt Riddall, who's the Director of Advisory for Arum for all of advisory. And today we're going to have an interesting conversation, really a little bit about what the collections and recoveries systems market and what some of the trends that we've seen, particularly over the last year. So just to kick off, Matt, do you want to maybe start off with a little bit of introduction around some of the things that, like way of context, some of the things we've been working on over the last sort of 12 months or so?
Absolutely. I suppose just to introduce myself, Chris. So Matt Riddall, Director of Advisory at Arum. And I suppose lead a team of consultants, both advising and delivery on all areas of collections, recoveries, business and technology. I myself have a background in technology, and the last 13 years I have been focusing on collections and recoveries technology, so know the domain very well. And we often help clients to select new technology, to update and optimize what they have today, through to large-scale implementations, migration, and change projects. And we have really strong relationships with technology vendors in the market. We remain completely independent, but we for as long as we specialized in collections recoveries, we have had those relationships and built long-term partnerships as well.
That's great. So I suppose today we're going to talk a bit about some of the trends, I suppose, we've seen over the last year or so. And I suppose just starting off with that, it's been like nearly a year now since we were in lockdown with COVID. And I suppose, what have been some of the impacts that we've seen in the collections market? How did the firms react? How did we all adapt, I suppose, over the last year?
Yes, absolutely. And I think you're completely right. It's been, well, it was yesterday was a year since we went into lockdown, and it's been a hugely interesting year and a lot of change within the collections and recoveries and environment from very early in the pandemic, reacting to payment holidays, implementing tactical solutions, and enabling remote working for workforces. Our clients have really reacted well, and I suppose if I think about the last 12 months, certainly 2020 felt a lot like it was tactical, it was reactionary, but 2021 and looking forward to 2022. We're seeing a lot of strategic projects and investment in collections and technology and getting the right infrastructure in place. And we're predicting a lot of activity with up to 65% of creditors either upgrading systems or looking at new systems within the next 2 years as well.
It really did feel as if there's sort of like a lot of investment in the collections function, if you see what I mean, over COVID. It was almost like crystallized some of the trends that were there in already. Did we sort of see that in terms of the volume of changes going through? Has it been easier to invest? What were some of the things that we're seeing?
Yeah, so I think there has been a reaction and a need to really open up, I suppose, that the digital piece, but also I suppose the investment decisions in collections, recoveries, and technology have been easier given I suppose what we're facing into, and after the government stimulus, we're likely to see spikes in volumes. And really it's about preparing for that as well, and that's obviously driving a lot of these programs that are happening at the moment as well.
Yeah, I thought that the volumes were particularly interesting. Sort of like the wave kind of hit, and obviously there was a huge influx of volumes into call centers. But then it's almost like those almost like died down over the last sort of 6-9 months or so. But I suppose it's just what's going to happen over the next sort of 6 or 9 months when the stimulus goes away. And are you finding that firms are sort of trying to get ready for that, or what's the thinking? Is that a train, or is that driving some of the people looking at technology?
It certainly is, and I suppose within our clients, forecasting models, it is inevitable that that there will be spikes, once the stimulus ends, and really, this is a time for I suppose ensuring that the technology is infrastructure is fit for purpose. You can drive agile change and react to the changing circumstances, because if anything, the last 12 months has proven that we can't really forecast what's coming up, so we need to be able to react quickly with that, and that is easily enabled through technology change as well.
Yeah, I think uncertainty and flexibility definitely came through as a theme, didn't they? Like being able to react to things. I mean, digital definitely felt like that was a theme that came through, and as people were sort of relying on digital and self-serve, really to sort of, I suppose, help with some of the volume issues, particularly on. I mean, is that, have you seen that in some of the engagements that you've had in terms of that being popular and sort of like being adopted? I mean, is that a big theme? How much of a big theme is it?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, digital is certainly now the norm. It's expected by customers, and that's fully self-service across across all channels. We have seen, I suppose, a bit of a mix within our client base in terms of, I suppose, those that are implementing, I suppose, proof of concept, smaller use cases to prove value, and then open up to more strategic solutions. Through to those that are really in the optimizing stage and have the infrastructure and channels in place, but are looking at how they can improve the customer journey through, I suppose, linking open banking, open accounting into the affordability assessment process, and then automatically driving the right treatment for customers from those. So I suppose the full range really in terms of evolution and life cycle within that. And then in terms of the vendor market, for collections and recovery system, there's a real mix in terms of those systems and those vendors that provide self-service and digital capability out of the box, versus those that have preferred partnerships and integrate with systems that I suppose really have that as the core capability as well. So you've got a real mix of solutions out there, and a lot of really interesting capability in the market at the moment.
Were there any sort of particular, I suppose, use cases or things that you think have been particularly popular? I mean, I certainly felt that some of the messaging stuff's been popular, but I know there's sort of like there's an extra layer on that in terms of like collection systems, I&E systems, those kind of things as well. I mean, any that particularly caught your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly in terms of messaging, getting that rich experience through, I suppose, the likes of WhatsApp and and other systems that aren't. I suppose you can have a longer term conversation there, and but also I suppose linking into co-browsing, where customers need support through the self-service channels as well. So I suppose mixing the digital self-service with with the agent experience as well. And I think with self-service and digital, it's really important that for those customers that need to speak to an agent, that they have the option available, for particularly vulnerable financial difficulties, that's really highlighted and driven through decisioning, so that they get the support they need as well.
I suppose the one thing that COVID kind of has taught us is it's forced us, a lot of us who maybe weren't using it before, to now use digital channels, and I suppose it just makes that market and that adoption so much bigger, which can sort of change business cases going forward as well. Because I think we've all got into new habits as well of sort of using online tools.
Yeah, and I mean that links into I suppose how self-service and digital is implemented really as well. I mean, we would certainly caution about implementing self-service in a silo. So I suppose doing it completely separate from your core decisioning and data and collection system. Because that process really needs to be joined up from a customer experience as well.
So you mentioned there around, I suppose, collection systems, and it feels like there's definitely a wave of new collection systems sort of coming up, and so new systems selections coming up. So it feels like a lot of people seem to be in the market for changing collection systems at the moment. What do you think is driving that, and what's kind of going on with it, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, COVID certainly, is a factor here, but also in terms of the life cycle of, of legacy systems, a lot of, of creditor client systems are going out of support. They're based on legacy infrastructure, and there's a need for really updating the technical currency of that, and that's driving a lot of the I suppose movement and change in the market at the moment. I mean, that coupled with, there are a lot of, I suppose, newer entrants, lower cost but very capable solutions as well. So there's a lot more selection for creditors in the market, and different approaches that can be taken there as well. So I think there's a few different things linking into that. We've also I suppose working with clients that are looking at, I suppose, leveraging capability elsewhere within their organization, such as BPM tools and low-code type tools as well. But I would certainly caution that approach, that you really need to use the and build in collection system fundamentals and design into that approach as well, because it needs a lot of thought.
And you mentioned there around, I suppose, new entrants, right? So, I mean, you obviously got large established players. There's a couple in the market, but then it does feel like there's quite a lot of sort of like newer entrants coming in as well, which is, I mean, based on new technology that's out there. I mean, how's that changing the dynamic of the market? I mean, it feels like there's a lot of sort of change, I suppose, in the market at the moment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I suppose it's providing more options, for clients, and that links into cost models as well, and structures, and the overall, I suppose, competition within the market. So it is certainly driving change, and as I said, we're expecting a lot of activity in the market over the next few years as clients look to upgrade and improve their technology generally.
I mean, it certainly felt like, so speed of implementation seems to have been on the radar. I suppose cost of ownership's been on the radar. I suppose features and all of those kind of things. And I suppose it's just like, how do you balance all of those features to find the best solutions for folks? Yeah,
and I think, coupled with this new, I suppose, breed of technology that's coming through, we are getting a lot, in terms of user interface and experience. So some really impressive, I suppose, screens for agents as well that are bringing the most appropriate data and information, an efficient process to agents, because that's where a lot of benefit can be driven from, but also highlighting pertinent information through the likes of speech analytics, to really bring important information around that customer's situation, and to be able to deal with the customer better as well.
And I suppose part of that's integration within the system as well, or being able to integrate with third-party systems as well, and bring some of that new functionality online.
It is, yeah, and I mean, and that's the real beauty of modern technology, is that it can be, I suppose, deployed relatively quickly, in a SaaS and cloud based, but it also open APIs, real time processing, allows you to really integrate that data and decisioning to drive better outcomes for the customer.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, I suppose, SaaS, and I suppose I got as a service, I think, on the screen as a line there, because there's software as a service, there's platform as a service. I think the latest I heard, was transport as a service, but certainly we've got things like call center as a service. We've got everything seems to be moving into, I suppose, the cloud and being done as a service. But but for collection systems technology, or for collections technology, how should we think about software as a service? I mean, and how is it sort of, how should we think about that, and how should that be sort of implemented? I mean, how much of an opportunity is it?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a real, I suppose, revolution over the last 5 years, in that a lot of the I suppose technology and system selection that we were involved in previously, this was the go-to would have been the on-premise solution, and I suppose that has completely changed now, where the vast majority of creditors that we're supporting with selecting technology are going for a cloud-based software as a service option, and this has a lot of, I suppose, different benefits of it. Firstly, it has affected the cost models. There are a lot more subscription type models, but also in terms of scalability of the solution as well. It allows you to I suppose grow with the solution. It allows you to keep current with upgrades, etc. But also in terms of, I suppose, flexing based on volume demands and also capability. So a lot of these systems will come with additional bolt-on modules that you can deactivate at the start, but then as you grow and have additional capability needs, then really I suppose bring those as well. So it has completely changed the overall landscape and cost models, and also I suppose into the implementation as well, in that you can stand up an environment very quickly. A lot of the implementation is around the integration into your model, which is a lot I suppose a lot easier than previously as well.
Yeah, and I suppose from my point of view, I suppose just from an investment point of view, changes almost like the investment curve. So rather than being sort of like putting out stuff on site, putting servers on premise, you get a much different sort of like almost like a subscription type, because you're paying for it as a service over a long time. So that can sort of change the dynamics somewhat in terms of cost of ownership and I suppose payback and those kind of things, as well as getting access to new services and a wider range in the market. Go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, absolutely. As I said, it does allow you to, to really, I suppose, to grow with the solution and add on additional services throughout the lifetime. And we would typically expect that it's at least 3 to 5 years that you would be implementing a core collection system for. So it allows you to flexibly react over that time.
And I suppose the other thing that's also in the background is fraud, right? So I mean, fraud has been a big focus over COVID. I mean, from a consumer point of view as well as from from a systems point of view. But I mean, we've had several sort of high-profile compromises, I suppose, from a systems point of view. And I suppose that the SaaS service, I mean, which Microsoft was the latest one, right? So SaaS services probably give you a little bit of an extra layer of protection, don't they? Because it's sort of being managed centrally, and you don't have to invest in it because the vendor and is being provided as a service. I would think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it does provide, I suppose, a much wider range of service models, available, and where I suppose previously there may have been quite large IT teams managing, so in-house. It provides, I suppose, the opportunity to outsource, a lot of that to the vendor, and that can be down to the configuration aspects as well. Or having a mix within that to give capability in-house and through the vendor as well.
Yeah. So self configuration was next on the slide, and so that is you mentioned that now, just in terms of like how does that this whole theme around being able to configure things yourselves seems like that's starting to come through as almost like as a new theme. Probably linked somewhat to the software as a service type offerings as well. I mean, what have you seen, I suppose, and what are some of the benefits of it from what went before?
Yeah, so I suppose previously a lot of the configuration and change within our client organizations would have sat within the IT function, and I suppose quite often that would have, I suppose, hindered change in a lot of scenarios. I suppose some of our clients, to make very simple letter changes, would have been waiting weeks for that, and that just doesn't allow flexible, agile change and the ability to react to the changing environment. So this theme around self-configuration, a lot of it, I suppose, is driven by, in terms of the configuration user interface, within collections and recovery systems. It's getting a lot more, I suppose, drag and drop Visio based Visio-based interaction, and this really puts the power in the hands of the, I suppose, business user, business configuration user. But also when you overlay, I suppose, some of the, more recent innovations around process simulation of change and building in, and I suppose much easier building in, modeling, that just provides another layer of capability within the business user's hands. I would caution that, however, in that it's very important to include IT principles with any change program. So I suppose it's really important just to make sure that although the changes is within the business function in that scenario, that they're following proper design, development, and testing processes to ensure there's no negative consequences of change as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can make huge changes relatively easy, but you've got to have the controls to make sure it doesn't have massive customer impacts, which is a consequence for the business, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I thought there's quite an interesting commonality, I suppose, almost like between the digitalization and self-serve from a customer point of view, where customers want to feel like they're in control and they have this sort of self-serve capability, but also this self-configuration kind of control as well, which is like companies or customers of the services or the technology, they want to feel like they're in control as well. And it's sort of like you can sort of feel that almost like as a theme, sort of gradually working through in many layers of the industry in many ways. Which is enabled to a certain extent by the technology.
It is, and that's where I suppose it's a lot, because you've got the capability both in terms of self-service, digital, and internally to provide those I suppose less technical with the tools to be able to make change and complete that process. It does put more in I suppose the customer and the business users' hands within the organization's policies and controls. So there are certain guardrails that need to be implemented, but it provides a lot more control, and and customers expect that. They get that through the entire, I suppose, customer journey and life cycle, and then they expect the same experience within collections and recoveries as well.
So when we talked a little about the change that's happened over the last year and the focus on, I suppose, particularly collection systems, but I know that one of the things that as Arum we've been working on is the Arum approved system, and maybe it's just worth just sort of touching on that, just to explain a little about the program and then how that's going to sort of like, the aim is to try and help it really.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, the Arum approved system program is a relatively new initiative from Arum, but it's been built upon our, I suppose, long-standing legacy of working directly with technology vendors in the collections recovery space, and really, I suppose the way to think of it is, we see it as a road test of collections recovery systems capability. So we complete a full review against over 20 capabilities against the creditor market needs and best, I suppose, in class capability, across those. And it's been driven through our client needs, because we help our clients to select the right technology for them, and as part of that process, it provides that extra layer of assurance for our clients. The program lasts for a year. We keep up to date with all technology changes within the client base, and it really allows us to fast track, I suppose, technology selections. But we do remain completely independent, and we'll always choose the right collections recoveries technology, or help our clients to choose the right collections recoveries technology for them.
Yeah, so I suppose it's just trying to give the market a bit of a an independent view from a vantage point, right? So from our vantage point in terms of what's out there from a landscape point of view. Yes,
absolutely, and also, I mean, we will be building in I suppose a program of additional webinars and details, for our clients and the wider creditor base, around that capability in the market, so that they've got the, I suppose, up-to-date view on what's available, and that can be leveraged for their needs as well.
Okay, so that's one to watch out for too. So so that's really good. So just before we finish, I suppose last question, which was really, I suppose, I mean, Matt, if there's one theme out there that we've got to think about over the next 12 months, given the 12 months we've been through, what do you think has been the one that's impressed and the one that's going to sort of last and is going to be impactful going forward, do you think?
Oh, I mean, that's a really difficult question, Chris, and that's because there's so many themes, and I think COVID's kind of, I suppose, exaggerated all of the themes. But I suppose for me, it has to be, with, I suppose, modern, innovative solutions, and up to date technology. It's really using and driving that data and decisioning. I suppose being access to data across all channels to drive the right customer outcomes and the right customer treatment. And I think because of the new, I suppose, breed of systems that we're implementing at the moment, that will allow, I suppose, that greater opportunity within that space across all channels as well. So I think it's a really exciting time for collections and recoveries technology and those trends.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think data's important, and then sort of, I suppose there's the other thing probably is to watch out for is just as we get lots of different systems, is how do you make sure they all talk to each other as well, and obviously they exchange data and then talk to each other as well. I mean, you think that might be a theme as well. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, and it's really important, just to get that single source of of the truth for data, and I suppose that's back to the point around silos. It's just making sure that design is right up front, so that you're not implementing issues that will cause, I suppose, challenges down the line as well.
Okay, well, very good. So, I mean, we hope that was useful for folks. I mean, Matt, thank you. You're a real expert. I know we spend a lot of time together talking about this stuff in any case, but I thought it's hopefully it's been useful for the folks who've joined us today. I mean, if there's any questions from from anyone in the audience, or they want to know more about collections, the collection system market or technology, then please do feel free to reach out to Arum or both of us, really. So so thank you very much. I mean, Matt, do you got any last words or?
Yeah, no, I suppose just to echo that, Chris, if anybody has any questions, then definitely reach out. Happy to jump on a call and chat through.
Okay, well, thanks very much, and yeah, we'll speak with anyone soon.
That's great. Thank you, Chris and Matt. So I would just like to remind everyone that today's webinar will be listed on the CSA's website, and that'll be on tomorrow if you'd like to listen in again. Or if you've got any colleagues who couldn't listen in today, they can listen in from tomorrow. And just before you go, would also appreciate it if you could take a few seconds to give a little bit of feedback in the relevant area provided. So thanks everyone for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.